I would describe womanhood as a very subjective
But
concept.
you just also said we're talking about things that are concrete, and that's all. I'm just trying to grab onto something. What is the actual definition of the thing that you are using to define transgenderism?
I would describe womanhood as a set of characteristics associated with females, usually.
Look, we've all seen campus debates, but this one, pure cinematic chaos, no cap. To students step up to debate Michael Knowles, thinking they've got their arguments locked in tight hand within 30 seconds. They're playing intellectual twister with their own definitions. Knowles doesn't even have to raise his voice. He just asks one basic question and lets the logic trap set itself. Grab your popcorn, smash that like button, and let's dive into this wild exchange.
When did you start to identify as a woman?
What makes you say that I identify as a woman? Because I actually didn't assert that.
I don't know.
Is it just pattern recognition? Do I just look like one of the transes?
You're wearing a dress.
Yeah.
First hint.
Yeah. Have you heard of a femboy? Do you know what that means?
Now I have, but I don't know what it means.
Okay. It's feminine men. They wear a lot of dresses. It's cool.
But
I'm not a femboy. I identify as a trans woman.
Okay. So I was right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You were correct.
But a femboy is different than a trans.
Yes, they are. They're quite different.
What's the difference?
So a femboy still retains their male identity and pursues femininity, whereas a trans woman actually identifies as a woman.
What does that mean, though? If you if I pursue Sicilian identity, then I would identify as Sicilian.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But then, if a femboy pursues feminine identity, he would identify as female.
He would identify as feminine, not necessarily female. I think you and everyone at the Daily Wire would agree that feminine and female are not synonymous.
Well, men can be effeminate.
Yeah,
actually,
effeminate.
But that's different than feminine.
Feminine. How would you define feminine versus effeminate?
Feminine is good, and it's what women are when they act like women. And effeminate is bad, and it's what men are when they act like women.
So yeah, we could say a femboy is a boy who is effeminate. Well, then a trans woman actually doesn't retain the male identity and chooses to identify as a female.
Okay, but then to loop back around to my first question, when did you start to identify as transgender?
Started to identify as transgender. Internally, I've noticed the sort of mismatch between my identity and the body that I was given and the roles that society has placed upon me. That mismatch was pretty clear from a very young age. I'm not going to pretend that I was a woman all along. You know, I was born with a female brain. But I'd say probably since around 4K, like school.
4K?
Like 4-year-old kindergarten, like preschool.
Okay. What do you think caused it? If you say you weren't, it's not like you were born in the wrong body or something, then what do you think caused it?
I think it's quite simple, really. I think some people like ketchup and some people don't. I wanted to live my life this way. I wanted to pursue these characteristics, these traits.
No, I'm not denying that you want or
that I want to do that,
but I'm just kind of asking why.
Yeah, I mean, I think the same reason why anybody identifies as the gender they were assigned at birth. Well, it just feels kind of natural.
When did you publicly start doing it?
I'd say I came out as trans to everyone except for my family members, because it wasn't safe in my household.
What do you mean it wasn't safe?
Why wasn't it safe?
Yeah.
I don't want to get into the grotesque details, but I was in a pretty abusive household. My father was not very accepting, but my mother.
Do you think maybe that might have had anything to do with, all of
this? No, the abuse and whatnot didn't really. I don't see any correlation with that in my gender identity. I could see the look on your face
because I've just heard
the talking point.
I've heard it's not just. I mean, I've just heard it from people who have detransitioned, or that sometimes that correlates.
Yeah, I don't trust me. I'm not proud to say that I grew up in an abusive household and I also happen to be trans. I don't want to fuel that statistic, but I'm also not going to be dishonest about my upbringing.
Yeah. Now you are not trans.
I am.
You're just
trans.
You're trans too?
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not.
I am.
So what are you?
I'm non-binary.
Oh, all right. I don't mean to be different, but you're not saying you're a man.
I'm not saying I'm a man now.
And you would have at some point in your life said you're a woman.
I don't think I ever said I was a woman.
A little girl? I don't know.
Sure, yeah.
You did, okay. But then when did you decide you're non-binary?
I didn't know what transgender or non-binary was until I was 14, 15.
Most people had not heard of it until recently.
I mean, it existed, but I hadn't heard of it.
I suppose we'll perhaps agree to disagree on that.
You don't think it existed until recently?
No, I think people have been confused about their sex, and I think they've had all sorts of aberrant desires for all of history. But I don't think it's a real category, basically. So I don't mean it in any disrespectful way. I just don't think, I don't think it's possible to have a male body but be a female, because I don't think that's how body and soul or how identity actually works.
So I think what we're saying is that transgenderism, let's just say as an ideology, has existed for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
The first books that were burned in the Holocaust were about transgender people, about sexual studies.
Well, yeah, there was all sorts of sort of sexual, and it goes back obviously much further than the 1940s. People had these desires. But it is
yes.
I suppose the difference would be transvestitism has existed for all of history, always been sort of, cabarets and red light districts and things like that. But the ideology, meaning the view that a man could say he really is a woman, or a woman could say she really is multiple, they or them, or not either a man or a woman, that's a relatively new ideology.
No.
Not the behavior,
actually.
but...
We have, looking back, obviously historical records going back thousands of years get kind of shaky just because, we aren't able to preserve text that long, and maybe text even didn't exist, but...
They did exist. We actually have...
Not for all of human history.
Well,
Thousands of years, yeah, but not like...
Oh, not going back to Adam in the garden.
Yeah.
That's probably true.
But there's evidence of people with assigned male skeletons in traditionally female clothing and attire in burial. And we have the same vice versa. People, this is one of the specific examples I'm thinking of was Norse. There was a female skeleton that was buried with traditionally male burial rites and clothing.
How do they know the skeleton's female?
Well, I said female because obviously I believe that gender is something social rather than just biological, but
the scientists were able to identify it by the skeleton.
We know that sex is unambiguous.
Yes.
I don't think we're denying that.
There's this odd idea among conservatives that transgender people don't understand that biological sex exists, or that we're deluded.
Some don't. Some don't. Some do. You obviously do, but some don't.
No.
I have yet to meet anybody.
I've yet to meet anyone.
I've seen people
who's
clipped out of
genuinely...
context to look like that, but I haven't.
Those people are talking to me. These are people. I promise you, I've spoken to these people on camera in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
But in any case, you don't feel that way.
I have
so
never felt that way.
You're non-binary. You said that you came to this realization at 14.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think kind of pushed you over that edge at 14?
I think intense emotional distress at the prospect of needing to navigate through life being someone's daughter, someone's sister, someone's girlfriend, someone's wife, someone's mother. That's just something that wasn't really a role that I wanted to fill, and a role that I felt intensely distressed at the prospect of needing to fulfill.
Why is that?
It's difficult to explain, and it would be difficult to explain in a very short period of time. It's just one of those things that you feel deep down in your soul.
You mean it would be difficult to explain even to yourself, or you're just saying it would be difficult to articulate this thing that I understand?
It's difficult to articulate. It's kind of an abstract thing.
Hold up. Pause the tape right there. Did you all catch that? She literally just admitted that the main trigger for dropping the woman label was looking at traditional expectations like being a daughter, a wife, or a mother and going, "No, I'm good. That sounds like way too much stress." Look, not wanting to deal with societal pressure is completely relatable, but turning "I hate these" social roles into an entire brand new category of existence. That's where the wheels come off the wagon. Knowles didn't back her into a corner with heavy jargon. He just pointed out that if your whole identity is based on dodging social expectations, you're not defining who you are, you're just ducking responsibility. Let's unpause and see how this plays out.
The cause of gender dysphoria and this discomfort with your sex assigned at birth and these roles is still pretty widely debated, even in the woke scientific community.
Right. And there would seem to be, even among the pro-trans kind of woke, a presumed plurality, or multiplicity rather, of causes. Like some people can fall into this as a bit of a sexual fetish.
That isn't transgender, though. That's
Some guys who dress up like women will openly state that they're the Wachowski brothers, who are now the Wachowski sisters, said they fell into their transgender identity largely through pornography, and others will say that as well. Now, you might say, well, it wasn't pornography. It was because of, I wanted to wear a dress when I was 4 years old or something. But I'm just saying, in some cases, it would appear to be more of a sexual fetish. For some people, it might be caused by some emotional distress. For some people, it might be caused by any number of other factors. Again, I'm just repeating what I've heard from the left. I'm not even stating.
I mean, the
I don't
material.
think that the left says that.
The material.
the Wachowski
presence-
brothers certainly do. And they're
That's
They're
two
trans.
people.
the most famous
the material
transgender identifying
presence
people in
of
the world.
somebody wearing
That is
a dress with a male body.
wildly false.
The material presence of a man in a woman's dress perhaps could come about as a sexual fetish. I think we agree on that, but I don't think that. I think what we're trying to say is that that's a very different thing than we're describing.
No, I guess that's what I'm saying too. That there are these. So we all agree there are these different causes for this kind of identity. You came not to talk about transgenderism. You asked me about abortion.
Mm-hmm.
So you support abortion,
Absolutely.
and you support it. Do you support abortion? We didn't even talk about it, even though this is the point. You do.
Yeah.
You won't need one though.
No, I won't need an abortion anytime.
And you might not either because you're transgender or non-binary.
Do you believe that transgender people are all celibate?
I'm just a little confused as to what non-binary means.
Non-binary means I am not a man or a woman, regardless of what parts I was bestowed.
Okay. What you're saying is your body has nothing to do with whether you're a man or a woman.
Correct.
Okay.
I think oftentimes the gender identity does describe a relationship to one's body. For example, if I were to say I am a transgender woman, I'm directly asserting that I am a woman and that I have, male genitalia.
Or you could have gone
chromosomes.
under the knife and lost your male genitalia.
I could have. Yeah.
So you could be asserting that too. So I guess that's what I'm saying. It seems like you could just, all of these terms just mean kind of whatever you want them to mean.
No, not really.
It's
Pretty
just-
concrete definition.
So you just said to be a transgender woman, I have to be wearing a dress or look like this, but
I didn't say I have to. I said that's just how I like
what's
to
the
express it.
concrete definition of a transgender woman?
Somebody who is assigned male at birth who identifies and pursues womanhood.
Okay. And what is womanhood then? Not to sound like Walsh, but what is womanhood then? What does that
Womanhood?
mean in that statement?
I would describe womanhood as a very subjective
But you just
concept.
also said we're talking about things that are concrete, and that's all. I'm just trying to grab onto something. What is the actual definition of the thing that you are using to define transgenderism?
I would describe womanhood as a set of characteristics associated with females, usually.
But that's
Removed from
that's a
sex.
circular definition, and even the way you said it, you
No,
said
it's not.
I would describe, but I'm not asking you to describe anything. I'm asking if you can offer a definition, because it gets to the heart of your identity, which is that you're 4 years old, you say, I don't really feel like a man. How would you even know what that would mean at the age of 4? And how would you know what that would mean now to feel like a woman?
Because there are a variety of traditions associated with the male and female sex, and I've decided that I'd rather subscribe to the ones associated with the female sex.
But how would you even know what that is?
How would I even know what the traditions associated with the female sex are?
Yeah, I mean, they could be
I
just
know
a
that.
caricature,
I know that mom stays at home and that dad goes to work. I know that all.
but you would disagree with that.
No,
You
that
said
is-
you
that
reject
is-
those roles.
I understand what a traditional gender role is. I don't reject that it as a concept exists. I'm not comfortable with these social expectations. Therefore, I am going to adhere to different social expectations that are generally
But that's not what
assigned
you're
to the
saying.
opposite sex. Yeah, it is.
No, you're not.
I'm saying
you're-
it right now.
Well, now you are, but that's not previously what you said. Previously, what you said was there are these different social expectations associated with being a woman, and I so wanted to avoid them that I no longer call myself a woman. Not that a woman can avoid those social expectations, but rather that the social expectations are so intrinsic to womanhood that I will no longer be a woman. I will be a non-binary they, them. That's what you said earlier.
And boom, that is game, set, and match. Man, if there's one thing this whole exchange proves, it's that circular logic will have you doing backflips in public and still landing flat on your face. Let's keep it real for a second. The entire debate collapsed the second Knowles asked for one simple thing, a concrete definition of womanhood. First, it's subjective, then 30 seconds later, it's concrete, then it's traditions, and then it's whatever you feel like at 4 years old. At one point, we even got a comparison to whether or not someone likes ketchup. I mean, hey, I like ketchup on my fries, but I don't build my entire legal and biological worldview around it. The wildest part is seeing how fast a conversation shifts when you move past surface level buzzwords. Knowles didn't roast anyone, he didn't throw insults, and he didn't get aggressive. He literally just held up a mirror and asked, "Hey, does this equation actually add up?" And when you claim you knew you were trans in preschool because you didn't vibe with social roles, but then turn around and say gender is just an abstract feeling, the whole structure just folds like a deck of cards. That's what makes these campus debates so addicting, to watch. You get to see real-time philosophy collide with everyday reality. What about you guys? Which part of this clip made your jaw drop the most? Was it the ketchup analogy or the total definition scramble at the end? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. I reply to as many of you as I can. So let's get a real conversation going down there. If you enjoyed the commentary, show some love, slap that like button, hit subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss another breakdown. We've got way more heat coming your way very soon. Appreciate every single one of you watching. Stay sharp, keep questioning everything, and I'll catch you all in the next video.